Welcome to Indianomics. Our focus today is on the consumer durables sector. Fourth quarter results showed that COVID-related declines in spurts are behind us. The electronic consumer durables industry grew at a 3-year CAGR, a compounded annual growth rate of 12% from FY20 to FY23, which is close to the pre-COVID pace, largely. Cables grew by 17%, much better, that's the 3-year CAGR, and air conditioners grew by a more tepid 10%. While these numbers look good, the GDP data for the fourth quarter showed that consumption for the country as a whole grew by only 2.8%. Now, Q1 is coming to an end in 10 days, and it's a good time to check, firstly, if the long-awaited rural demand arrived in style in Q1, and two, how will the upcoming festival season shape up? That is, has stocking for Q2 already begun? And if it has, what are the early signs? Joining me are all the veterans of the industry, Mr. T.T. Jagannathan, Chairman, TTK Prestige, Atul Lall, Managing Director, Dixon Technologies, Anuj Poddar, Managing Director, CEO, Bajaj Electricals, and Akshay D'Souza to give us the outside sector view, Chief of Growth and Insights at Bizom, a market research company. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. Mr. Jagannathan, may I start with you? We have, kitchen appliances, we have, other consumer durables like refrigerators and electrical goods, and we have mobiles also covered with our guests. But let me start with what is even most important, kitchen appliances. How was Q1, April, May, June? Was it an improvement over Q4? Could you actually see rural demand shaping up?
Well, Q1 was similar to Q4. I won't say it was any better than Q4. And rural demand is looking good.
You mean it fired up? It was better? Because, in Q4, there were people complaining that the Rabi harvest is not in. There were unseasonal rains, extremely warm February. So people complained about rural demand in the first quarter of the calendar year. Did it improve, with the Rabi harvest in?
Well, actually, our rural demand does not depend on the harvest. It depends upon how many induction cooktops are sold in rural areas and followed by pressure cookers.
Okay. Well, let me come to you, Anuj. What was the experience in Q1, April, May, June?
Latha, I'll first answer you on the rural, but I'll add another angle to this, right? I do think, and I'm going to say this very cautiously so that people don't overread into this. I do think we're starting to see some pickup in the rural demand, and it's slightly outpacing urban is the trends that we're seeing the last couple of months. But the data is too shallow right now for us to read too much into it. Yeah. But the other point I really want to highlight is, while the appliances, kitchen appliances has been soft, the cooling appliances has had a very interesting 3 to 4 months. And I think that's dictated more by weather patterns than by the economy. You had this almost yo-yo of the heat wave, then unseasonal rains, little cool off, back to heat, intense heat, etc. And that's really dictating the demand for, when I say cooling products, in our case, we're talking coolers and fans. We've seen that yo-yo in demand. Right now, speaking, June is extremely hot in many parts of the country. You're seeing very strong tertiary demand. At the same time, primary demand is a little soft because I think the channels are also a little confused. So should they stock up? Should they not stock up? But I would just sign off on the good news that at least tertiary demand, because of the intense heat, is looking good right now.
Okay, so not a very interesting April, May, but a very good June. Is that what you're saying?
So April again, so it's a little bit of a yo-yo because you had in different parts of the country heat and unseasonal rains. But we did, predictability has become very difficult. So we tempered down our expectations, suddenly almost stocked out of coolers, which is a good news in a way. But then, as you start stocking up, it becomes difficult as to plan for inventory, etc. But my larger point is the weather is playing a bigger role right now than economy.
I'm looking for a number, Anuj, year on year.
We are in
would it be double digits?
I can't give you a number.
No, I understand.
No,
I understand it will be an approximation. But will it be 10, 12?
So we're not back to those kind of demand levels of double digits. I do think we are on an overall at an economy level. We do face headwinds right now. So I think these are silver linings, but we're not in the
double digit yet. Fair enough. Thanks for that. Mr. Lall, the expectation is most from you because mobiles now have become more necessary than anything else. How was Q1?
So, you see, please appreciate that we are a B2B company. and we are subservient to the brand owners. So there is a certain lag with which we operate in our domain. So Q1 has been subdued, but a slight growth, not excessively buoyant. But in last 2 to 3 weeks, when we interface with our brand owners, we get an impression that the tertiary sale is picking up pace. And also significant thing is that earlier, the lower price goods were just not taking off. So one can see some traction, a positive traction in that domain, which means, which we gather, that the rural demand is looking to be better. However, we are just around the festive period. We're getting a pretty healthy forecast across at least some of the product lines. We're getting a very healthy forecast for a television business, for a washing machine business. And one product category which is doing really very, very well is wearables and wearables, the TWS, the smart watches, that is booming. So it's that kind of situation.
Okay. Mr. Lall, if you can put some numbers. I mean, you said that premiums were doing well, and now lately you have started seeing the economy models in mobiles also doing well. Is that how we should understand?
So I can see some movement there.
Okay, but if you could put some numbers at all for any of them, I mean, either for the if you can give them for all of them, it would be great. But approximately, are you at 5%, between 5 and 10? Are you at double digits? Especially because you said wearables and consumer durables are doing very well.
So across the various product categories, it will be a single-digit kind of a growth in the product categories of televisions and mobiles. It will be high double-digit growth in wearables, mid double-digit growth in washing machines. In the space of lighting, it's going to be low single-digit kind of growth. So that kind of mix is there.
Okay, so the white goods washing machines are the ones that are doing the best. Okay, now let me go to the man who is cutting across brands and looking at the sector. Akshay, what's been the consumer durable performance? I know your weight is more in FMCG, but I want to know the consumer durable performance.
Sure. So thanks, Latha. So one of the things that we actually track for consumer durables is their sales in stores and not really any online sales in this particular case. One of the things that we're seeing is, April, May, especially lean very heavy on summer product sales for the category. And especially, you have your coolers and ACs and, refrigerators. I think these have taken a hit. So I think April and May, they've taken a hit. And I think June is trending positively compared to last year. These are all April on April from last year, from our data. We actually had a good end to the JFM quarter. I think some of that would have also weighed heavily on April because some of these financial year ends stocking would have actually not got liquidated, and hence April sales would have got impacted by that.
Okay, I got that. We are running your numbers, 11.8% in Jan, Feb, March. So almost 12%, probably overstocking, and therefore you saw an April, which is pretty bad, 17, nearly 18% lower and 12% lower for May as well. So clearly the heat has impacted some of the movements of goods. But let me come to premiumization. Mr. Jagannathan, was there a preference for premium products over mass products?
Yes, there was, clearly.
Okay. Would you be able to give some numbers on, whether premium products touched double digits or were they high single digits? Just an approximation. I know I'm catching you unawares in the middle of the quarter.
Well, I would say high single digits.
For the premium products?
Yes, okay.
For the premium products, you mean?
The premium products, yes.
Okay. And mass products, were they flat or did you even see contraction?
We saw some contraction.
Okay, because that was your experience in the fourth quarter as well. So mass products did see contraction.
Yes.
Anuj, was there a preference for premiumized premium products?
So no, I would agree with what Mr. Jagannath also said. What the data is pointing out. For us, you need to understand we've been coming from where we are a non-premium brand to actually starting to add to that segment. So for us, we are seeing that growth and catch up happening.
Okay.
I actually want to go back to that data that you put out on April, May, June. That is pretty much mirrors that. We've all seen a downtrend in April and May, but now you're starting to see an uptick. So we don't know how the quarter will aggregate out, but we are, I think the quarter will probably end better than it started off.
Okay. Time permitting, I'll come back to analyze why would you think that, April and May did like that? Was it all due to weather or were there other problems? Because it worries everyone that the Q4 consumer data from the GDP actually showed a growth of only 2.8%. That was not a very flattering number at all. Okay, Mr. Lall, you had started off the conversation on festive season, so let me ask you about that. How is the July, August, September looking like? Do people already start placing orders by June end itself? And if they have, how is July and August shaping up?
So July, August, September forecast across all the product categories is extremely healthy.
Oh, good.
It's significantly better than what it was last year. So we're extremely buoyant about it, boisterous about it. The order book is very healthy across all the categories.
All right. If you could put some numbers, again, broad ranges only. When you say significantly better, what do you mean?
So let's say in mobile, we feel that it's going to be more than 20-25% of last year. Similarly, in washing machine, I find similar kind of numbers. In lighting, I'm still finding it quite flattish. In wearables, I feel it's going to be high double digit, even more than 20%. So all this looks quite buoyant.
What did you say about mobiles?
So mobiles for us, the order book is looking good.
Okay. You don't want to put a number over there, a volume number?
I don't want to put in a number as of now.
Okay, but washing machines and wearables, you say, are doing the best. And it's as high as 20-25.
Even in television, lower end of double digit, we feel that we're going to have it. That's what the order book is looking like.
Okay. Mr. Jagannathan, would festive season hits early in the south. You will have Onam by August end or early September, and you will have Ganesh in Maharashtra and a better part of the south by mid-August. Do people start stocking now? How has the experience been?
In the third quarter.
Okay. So you don't get any advanced stocking trends as early as this?
I'm sorry, I said that wrong. In the second quarter. They'll start stocking up in the second quarter.
Okay.
And we expect a very good third and fourth quarter.
Okay. That's good to hear. Anuj, what about you? What are the early stocking signs?
No, so it's very early to say, honestly, Latha, but the way I see it is the bad news is behind us, right? You're well past peak inflation. You're seeing rates come down of commodities. I think you're well past interest rate hikes. If not reduction, at least they will plateau out. So I think that, to me, are the two big factors that have held back demand in the last year. And, these things, the bad news being behind us, I think it's a matter of time before demand comes in. And I think a lot of what we are doing as brands, and to what Atul mentioned, is really in the optimism that demand will come back, that as brands, we are starting to stock up and make those advanced purchase orders, etc. I think we are the ones who will really drive the channel stocking up in that sense. The good news there, like I said, is June, you're starting to see good tertiary sales, if not primary sales. So that's only good news for us, that the channel will be probably more receptive to now taking in more stocks coming into Q2 and into festive.
Okay. Gentlemen, I do have to ask you about inflation and margins. Will the second half be a period when margins will recover because of raw material prices? Those questions in a minute after this break.